So, Pap, now usually when people talk about purges, right, it implies that there has been a pre-existing regime, and people are purged from it. The Trump administration, I guess, to be, is already experiencing purges just days after becoming not even an administration.
Yeah, they're looking ahead, aren't they?
Exactly. I mean, they're getting into the rhythm of things quite early. I mean, this is pretty stunning. And so people should understand this. Chris Christie was the head of the transition team for ostensibly the past couple of months. He is the one, and there's a private agreement that is signed between the head of the transition team and a representative from the current Obama administration, who's actually not, I think, is part of a private transition team too. They could not get anything done because last week they fired Chris Christie, and nobody had signed the contract with the Mike Pence, who was put ahead, hadn't signed the contract, so there was no agreement as to who was going to get what type of physical space, how this is going to go.
Yeah, I saw a pitiful picture of poor little Chris. It wasn't just Chris. He wiped out the entire, everybody related to Chris Christie was wiped out. And it had something, part of the story has to do with the fact that Trump's son-in-law had his father targeted by Chris Christie when Chris Christie was a prosecutor. And so Trump's
and Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, is his top advisor.
That's right.
Top advisor.
And so son-in-law says, well, it's not enough for me just to humiliate, the little bowling ball here. It is, I have to take out everybody. And so he took out everybody that had Chris Christie's initials anywhere around it. And I think we're going to see a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of time spent in the next 4 years where we're going to be seeing a lot of that. We're going to be seeing day one, somebody's there. Day two, Trump believes that he's still filming a program called, You're Fired. And so these people are going to be moving through at an alarming rate.
Well, Pat, let me ask you your opinion on this, okay? Because I want to talk about some potential personnel picks. I mean, this is honestly, it's like if I had 105-degree fever and was delirious, rolling around in my bed from food poisoning, let's say. I mean, it's not inconceivable to me this be screaming out that I am having this nightmare where people like Trey Gowdy or Frank Gaffney or
Newt Gingrich,
Newt Gingrich or John Bolton or Rudy Giuliani are being considered for actual positions in the administration. But let me ask you this: here we have the single most inexperienced president with a team that seems to be in complete disarray. There's no real experience there. This week, a longtime, soft neocon, I would call him, from the George W. Bush administration, who was a foreign policy never-Trumper, a guy named Elliot Cohen, and who, the idea that I would even want him close to the White House is completely far-fetched. But he went in there to help them out. And within a day, he started tweeting out and writing op-eds saying, I encourage no one to go work for this administration. So we have a transition that's in disarray. There are
how about Ben Carson? I mean, as goofy as the guy is, he says, I don't think I'm equipped to be on a cabinet. This is the guy who's running for president. What he's really saying, this scares the heck out of me when I look at
That's what it's got to be, right? I mean, how do you go from I'm willing to run the whole thing, but I can't handle a department?
Yeah.
He sees what a complete disarray this is. Now, so here's the thing. I mean, it's funny to talk about, but if you were a person or an entity or a nation around the country that sees yourself as a rival or enemy of the United States, or even neutral, but had designs on doing anything that in the past there has been hesitation because you are afraid of the American reaction, whether it would be militarily or whether it would be in terms of sanctions or whether it would be just diplomatically in terms of, or sales of grain or technology or whatever it is. Can you imagine a more opportune time for you as that entity to do what you wanted to do than from January 20th of this year over the next 6 to 9 months.
Oh no,
I mean,
no, absolutely.
This country we are literally going to be adrift.
Yeah. Well, let me just tell you this. We've talked about this so many times. Let me give you the contrast. The contrast is Obama coming into office, and for the first 2 years when he controlled the House and the Senate, when he could have done whatever he wanted to do, Rahm Emanuel has him focused on health care, on Obamacare. And while we hear, go back and look at this, because it'll just freak you out. The number of times that we hear Obama, we all have to get along, we all have to reach across the aisle, we all have to sing Kumbaya, we have to look forward, we can't worry about what happened in the past. We're going to see absolutely the opposite here. We're going to see him loading up with people like John Bolton, with people like Newt Gingrich, Bob Coker, Robert Grady, these people that you go, my God, Pam Bondi, how about that?
Right.
Pam Bondi from Florida. We're going to see him loading up with these people. Jeff Sessions. You following this? I mean, Jeff Sessions now is also on the short list for Attorney General. Well, this is a guy that his whole goal, what he got elected on, was dismantling the justice process, civil justice. He wanted to close the door to any consumer that had a case.
Yep.
So this is the guy that's going to be the Attorney General of the United States. But your point is, I think, if I'm hearing you right, the first 9 months is going to be like a blitzkrieg.